Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Football Harsh Reality. I'm your host, Greg Romero Wilson, once again, otherwise known as the Greg Wilson, otherwise known as the Hurricane of Hilarious, the Monster Truck of Stand-Up, the Mexican Megaphone. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What a week one. What the fuck happened? You know, it started off so fucking weird. Let's be honest. It started off real weird, didn't it? I mean, with, in a game, and what did I say? If you listen to my post-draft week one preview, one of the things I said was, you know, play your studs, right? Okay, and then also, week one is weird. It's always an anomaly. And in fact, I referenced like 5 years ago when Anquan Baldwin caught 4 touchdowns in week one, and then he only caught 2 more touchdowns the rest of the season. And so it just is a testament to the fact that week one is just weird. And it started weird. I mean, it started weirder than you can imagine. Let's talk about the Patriots-Chiefs game, because I don't know about you, but I'm watching at the beginning. It was such a jerk-off session. It was such masturbation. They were so in love with themselves, you know, like, and then came the turnover sack, and then came the catch, and then came, you know, like, it was like, oh my God, you guys, it was so, we're so great. I was literally thinking to myself, this is absolutely a setup for a fall. If you want an exact diagram of how you go too high and burn in the sun, this was it. It was just a classic example of it was just set too high, everything, like, we can't be, it was, you know, not even God can sink the Titanic. Whoa, boy, barely, not even the Patriots are undefeatable, whatever the word is. That apparently they're not that, because they are very human. And again, and it also is, that's why they play the game. No matter what those projection numbers say, no matter how inexplicable it seems, that's why they play the game. Okay, there were so many things that happened that you thought was a lock the other way. Brandon Marshall, you know, Odell Beckham goes out of the game, so it seems like Brandon Marshall is now, I mean, he's gonna ball, you know, at least see 5, 6, 7 receptions and everything. He got thrown to twice and he caught 1. So it demonstrated there are a couple of things. So week one is always weird. I mean, when we're talking about Tom Brady throws 0 touchdowns and Alex Smith throws for 4, I think we can agree that it's a pretty fucked up beginning to the week. Now let's talk about the big star. Everybody jizzed all over themselves for Kareem Hunt. Now let's be honest. Kareem Hunt, now we put up like 50 points in most leagues, and in most leagues, whatever team had Kareem Hunt, they pretty much won. However, in one of my leagues, remember in 3 this year, in one of my leagues, the guy lost because the guy he was playing against played both Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, which are 2 of the very few receivers to actually ball out this weekend. This was, you know what I think it is? Here's what I think it is. I think here's the thing to remember about week ones. I think the thing is defenses are fresher than they're going to be for the rest of the season. And you have new pieces, new parts, chemistries have not been established. You've only seen each other in rehearsals, basically in practice, you know, and a few preseason games, which is what I mean by rehearsals. I mean, you really don't know what the game time reality of that relationship is. And I think they're figuring it out. When you talk about guys like Brandon Marshall, when you talk about, oh God, I don't even want to talk about Eddie Lacy. What a tragedy that is. What we are witnessing is the death of potential. Eddie Lacy was a guy I loved coming out of college. He was a baller for Alabama, but his weight problems, conditioning, and I guess his heart. I don't know what's going on. And his ankle, you know, that was the thing. I was kind of high on him, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We did. I think it may be, I think I must jump off the Eddie Lacy bandwagon. I hate it when the experts are right, because I think they're wrong a lot, and they act like they're always right, but they may have got it right on Eddie Lacy. Now, I may be back here next week. If there was ever a game where Eddie Lacy might have a chance to come back, it'd be versus San Francisco. This would be the year that they could actually if he was ever gonna reestablish himself, it should be during this game. But Thomas Rawls is coming back. This kid Chris Carson now has established himself as a very capable little running back. So I think it's pretty much over for Eddie Lacy. It's over as before it even started, man. I hate to say that, but I think that's the case. But let's just look at this. So the first week was, so everyone jizzed over Kareem Hunt, but let's be honest, Kareem Hunt is never, ever, ever, ever going to have a game like that again. Well, I mean, not this season, okay? Because now they see him coming. In that game, it was clear that the Patriots defense, they like to take away your best player. They had focused on Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And by bracketing those guys, they gave up personnel that allowed Kareem Hunt to go bonkers, absolutely run wild, and they never deviated from their game plan, and so consequently he wound up running all over him and became a problem. But I don't think they wanted to get beat by Kelce. They didn't want to get beat by Tyreek Hill, and so it wound up being Kareem Hunt. Is Alex Smith, but that's the thing, everyone else, it's going to spread out a lot more going into these games. Kelce's going to bounce back. Tyreek Hill's going to do even more. Of course, he finally broke one loose. That's why I love Tyreek Hill, because you can count on him to break one loose every single game. It's like the way you used to be able to count on Adrian Peterson. Even if he was getting stuffed a lot, you knew at some point he was going to take off for you, baby, but it didn't. So Kareem Hunt, I think that's going to be, he's still going to be great. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to have a great season. I think he's going to be incredibly productive. I think he probably finishes in the top 10. But will he have this kind of breakout performance again? I don't see it, because I think the defense spreads out, and I think you see an uptick in Travis Kelce, especially, who was very disappointing in week 1. So it just started out, of course, things, you look at it, the loss of Edelman, people were saying that was going to negatively affect Tom Brady, and I was one of those ones that was like, nah, don't worry about that. No. Tom Brady's got it. Don't worry about it. But it's beginning to look like maybe the Edelman thing. Amendola, the guy just cannot stay on the field. I know he's a big waiver wire pickup, but he's in concussion protocol. Like, the guy just can't stay healthy. Malcolm Mitchell, who was one of the guys that was kind of finding rhythm with Brady at the end of last year, he's already injured. So there's just, when you look at it, but if there's anybody that can figure it out, that can keep it going, they still have Brandon Cooks, they still have the Gronk, although I'll tell you this, see if somebody wants to trade for Gronk right now, if you want Gronk, because I think Gronk owners should let him go. If you have Gronk, I would trade him right now. I would trade him from some other piece that you really need a high-end guy, because I think Gronk really hurt himself when he reached out and he stretched, he landed for that touchdown that got called back. He was not the same the rest of the game. In fact, he was completely unproductive the rest of the game, and I think it's because they're not telling us how bad his injury really is. I don't like Gronk. I think he might be a lot more injured than we realize. But so that's how the week started. Off to a weird start. It's like, what is happening here? What is going on? What world is this where Tom Brady throws no touchdowns? Now, I do like him going to New Orleans, but we'll get to that next week. Tune in at the end of the week when I do my week 2 preview. But I do like these Patriots versus New Orleans, although they have retooled the defense and they are getting better. But man, they could not stop Minnesota when they had to, and that was, you could feel the pain, the disheartening in New Orleans, like, these motherfuckers. But they're a defensive unit that they spent some money on, brought in 8 new pieces in their starting lineup, so it's going to take some time for them to gel, and I don't think versus the Patriots next week is going to be the week that defense in New Orleans gels. But let's just look at the first rounders, the guys that were drafted pretty much the first round in all the drafts, and you'll see that really, of all of them, only Antonio Brown delivered like a first rounder. Everybody else disappointed, which goes, and we're talking about guys that are not, don't have new pieces. You look at Le'Veon Bell, he's in a situation where everyone's like, this team is going to be, they had Antonio Brown, they've got Martavis Bryant back, they got Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, the band's back together, baby, let's play them hits. But for Antonio Brown, the hits kept on coming, but for Le'Veon Bell, it was a very cold day. So let's look at this. David Johnson, widely picked number 1, of course, now he's out for 2 months. I mean, how disappointing is that? I have him in one of my leagues, in my new league where I'm the commissioner. I got the first pick of the draft, and I of course went with David Johnson because of his many tools, but he immediately looks like he dislocated that wrist. He's going to have surgery on it. He's out 2 to 4 months. Now, a guy like David Johnson, I can see him healing towards the shorter end of that. You know, he's one of those kind of super beings, you know, like Adrian Peterson. But at the same time, it's still a long way to go. Now, and I hate to kind of jump in and out of stuff, but when it comes to now the loss of David Johnson, now we have this strange committee going on thing with you know, now Kerwin Williams, which I can't, every time I hear that name, I think they're advertising paint as Kerwin Williams, but apparently Kerwin Williams, and then Andre Ellington, who is the pass catching back. And then the guy, not a lot of people are talking about this, but they re-signed Chris Johnson. And before David Johnson took over, Chris Johnson was hot as shit. And then the only reason he's gone is because David Johnson blew up. Now David Johnson's gone, and they have yet, and now granted, in the offseason, they cut Chris Johnson, kept Kerwin Williams. Why? Kerwin Williams is talented and young. But now they have the opportunity. They could just use Chris Johnson as much as they want. Doesn't matter because DJ's coming back, and they got this other kid, Kerwin Williams. This is going to be very interesting to see how this David Johnson thing plays out, because keep in mind, he was there last season. It's not like he's got to learn their offense. It's not like they don't know what he can do. So it's very interesting to see how the Chris Johnson coming back actually, because I know a lot of people are rushing to the waiver wire to grab Kerwin Williams, myself included, as a David Johnson owner, but it'll be very interesting to see how this Chris Johnson thing ends up winding affecting all of them. Andre Ellington, him, you know, Kerwin Williams and Andre Ellington. So, there we go. So, but that was the number 1 pick. Number 2, Le'Veon Bell. Let's look at the numbers. 10 runs, 32 yards, 3 receptions for 15 yards, a whopping almost 8 points in a PPR league. Whoa. If you drafted Le'Veon Bell second, this is not what you were expecting. You wanted something like what Leonard Fournette did, 100 yards, touchdown, all that business. Antonio Brown. Now, this is the guy that absolutely delivered. He was the one that, without a question, delivered. Let me see. He had 11 receptions, 182 yards. 30 points on a projected 20. I mean, that was everything you were hoping for in your first-round pick was delivered by Antonio Brown. Now, if you remember last year, he started off a little slow, and so for guys that, not to say that it was a gamble, but I mean, if you went with Antonio Brown instead of one of the other running backs, it really paid off. Julio Jones, disappointing. 4 receptions, 66 yards, 10 points on a projected 17. And I only mention the projections because I think the projections are just horribly wrong week 1. What do they have to compare it to? I mean, they really don't. Now, they have a little more validity going into week 2, but again, you got to go with your gut. You got to go with your heart. That's how you win championships because, because the projections are either right or they're wrong. And when they're wrong, they're incredibly wrong. And sometimes you can see it coming. Mike Evans, God, what a disappointing performance. It's like he didn't even show up. I'm kidding. What a horrible thing down there with Hurricane Irma. I hate that they postponed those games, but, so that's the other thing that made this weird. That Hurricane Irma wiped out a lot of good players for week 1. Ajayi, Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry, Mike Evans, so these are guys that you would have been counting on. But now you ain't got you didn't have him for week 1. So, Mike Evans, there you go, knocked out. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't play. And I said it. I said he's more injured than he's letting go on this. And I'll say it right now. This is a nagging injury. This injury is going to stick with him. It's going to be a problem all season long because every time he comes back, people are going to hit those legs because you're not supposed to go high anyway. So it's not like he can complain about it. I think this is going to be a problem for Odell Beckham Jr. owners all year long. But he didn't play. And again, so you're thinking, as I was, Brandon Marshall. It's got to be Brandon Marshall. No. Oh, no. It has to be Sterling fucking Shepard. Again, this is not something I expect to repeat. I think this is some week 1 shit because he didn't really have the chemistry with Brandon Marshall. He didn't have time to develop it because OBJ was gone. And so Sterling Shepard was the guy that he knew where he was going to be on the field. That's what I think happened. That's my analysis. That's what I see. Okay. A.J. Green, 5 receptions on 10 targets. This is not what you drafted A.J. Green for. 74 yards, put up about 9 points on a projected 16. Oh, boy. Kansas City defense, by the way. Kansas City defense. I didn't draft them in any of my leagues. I love them, but I knew that Tyreek Hill was not going to be returning kicks this year because he's just too valuable as a wide receiver one. And sure enough, he didn't. Now, when that other guy, Isaiah Thomas or whatever his name is, when he ultimately he got knocked out of the game at the end, Tyreek did come in and catch one, but I do not expect that to be the norm. But the Kansas City defense still showed up, though. They balled out, and so they're still an amazing defense. They're definitely worth whatever price you paid for them. Let's talk for a second about Seattle RBs. I mean, we touched on the death of Eddie Lacy. Right now, I don't know. I wouldn't touch anybody. Maybe Carson, because he's got youth. Thomas Rawls, you know, they're listing now as their running back one, but he's not going to be coming back. And let's talk about the Seattle Green Bay game for 1 second, because Seattle Green Bay was a game where I really thought it was going to be a high-scoring game. It didn't turn into that high-scoring game. It turned into a very defensive battle. Russell Wilson was one of the guys that I said was going to explode. I think I even started my list of guys I thought was going to explode with Russell Wilson. He looked so beautiful in preseason. But, man, without a running game, he's just slinging it all over the place. They looked terrible. And that's why I thought Eddie Lacy was going to help them with a power running game. So we'll see what happens this week. But right now, I'm very worried about Seattle going. But, I mean, they got a game against San Francisco. If there was ever a bounce-back opportunity, this is it. Go ahead and expect great things this weekend, because San Francisco is the kind of team that's going to boost your confidence. Even though they're getting better, they definitely look like they were getting better. I'm not anti-Hoyer. As I said, I thought Carlos Hyde, this was the season that he was finally going to deliver, and I really think that he did. He's the workhorse. He delivered some great points, and so did Pierre Garçon. But the Seattle defense is going to have a field day with them this weekend. I think, God, as someone who owns the Seattle defense in 3 leagues, I look forward to them truly dominating. Now, in terms of against the Packers, you know, they kicked out Lane right at the beginning of the thing, so you knocked out one of their main all-pro pass rushers at the start of the game. Right, automatically the defense was affected, and then with the offense unable to generate anything. And I think what you also have to give credit to is the Green Bay defense. The Green Bay defense in this case actually outscored the Seattle defense, although the Seattle defense still did very good, but the Green Bay defense did better, and you wonder if that's going to be really something that's going to be a linchpin to their season, is this Green Bay defense. Can they maintain that kind of power? Was that just home opener strength and healthiness? I don't know. We'll see. Oh, God bless you if you drafted Joe Mixon, huh? What a boy. What a disaster that was. Oh, my God. Here they are. Oh, my God, all this talent. He's going to blow everybody out of the water. Oh, he didn't do shit. 8 carries, 9 yards, garbage. What the fuck, Joe Mixon? Let's talk about a guy, and I even tweeted this. There were a couple things I tweeted that were wrong, a couple I tweeted that were right. Number one, I did tweet, and this one I was very proud of. I did tweet that Cleveland was going to give Pittsburgh a legit scare. And 18-21, I think, is a pretty legitimate scare when you're expecting the score to be something like 56-3. So for them to come within, 3-4 points of getting these guys, I think Pittsburgh left there scratching their heads very concerned, but it demonstrates what I said. Cleveland is a great defense this year. Now, if they can get some offense going to go with it, I don't believe in their offense. I'm not excited about it. But DeShone Kizer looked like, hey, give him a couple weeks, couple games. He's going to be getting that ball down the field, and that team could, towards the end, be some in the mix. They could be in the mix by the end of the season. It's going to be interesting to see who emerges over there. Like I said, there's only one. Every year they have one player, and it's never the one you expect. Last year, Terrell Pryor, Gary Barnidge the year before that. So you never know who's Josh Gordon. It comes out of nowhere with this team. Devonta Freeman, another first-rounder, 12 runs, 37 yards, 1 TD, 12 points on a projected 17. That's not what you want from Devonta Freeman. Jay Ajayi didn't get to play. He's a guy I picked up in two league of record in my comedians league. I thought Ajayi is going to ball. I think he's going to set records this season, and of course, don't even get to play him. So for me, I lost Ajayi. I lost David Johnson in the other league. So I went 1-2 in my opening day record, 1-2. So the fact that I even won one, I take as very encouraging. And here's the other thing: it's always kind of nice to lose opening day, because you get first crack at those guys, those emerging emerging talents that have demonstrated themselves on the field out of nowhere. Kenny Golladay, Tariq Cohen. You know, you get the shot at those if you lose week 1. If you don't, then you don't. The game that I won, I have the 10th pick in the waiver wire draft. So I'm maybe going to get Chris Johnson for Eddie Lacy, which is kind of like trading out one beat horse for another, but at least there's opportunity in Arizona. But of course, he's not my first choice. I want everybody else first, and I may not even go with that. I may just stick with Eddie Lacy to see just one more week. Give this sucker one more week. I don't know. We'll see. But Devonta Freeman, a giant in to play. Dez Bryant, a guy, early second rounder, 2 receptions, 43 yards. I know, I've got him on a team. Very disappointing. Although the Cowboys won. Cowboys, number 1. That's my team, Cowboys. So that, and in many ways, even though I went 1 and 2, the fact that the Cowboys beat the Giants, really, it was everything that I needed in this weekend. I will take my own personal losses so long as the Cowboys beat the Giants in a game. And I knew they would beat them. I picked them to win in some Vegas bets because I knew that this was their turn. They were coming out. Dak Prescott's been thinking about it for 6 months. I knew that this was absolutely going to be their turn, especially once Odell Beckham wasn't playing. I felt like, because they don't have a running game. Paul Perkins, I'm sorry, you cannot, I don't place any hope into Paul Perkins. Lesean Mccoy, he delivered. He really did. 22 attempts, 110 yards, but no TDs. What did I say about Tolbert? Tolbert's the biggest vulture. Used to vulture from Jonathan Stewart all day down in Carolina, and now he's up there. So you still got volume, but 0 TDs. I think you got to keep that in mind. I said he was going to vulture. Let's talk about surprise defense. Obviously, Green Bay, the Dallas defense. In a game where the Giants clearly had the upper hand in defense on paper, the Dallas defense with that new secondary really managed to shut down Brandon Marshall. He forced him to Sterling Shepard. Now, would it be different with Odell Beckham in the game? Probably so. Did they benefit from there being a lack of chemistry and history with those two? Probably so. But overall, the Dallas Cowboys defense managed to keep the New York Giants, who people were picking to win that division, they managed to hold them to what, like 3 points or 6 points, something like that. It was garbage. It was really wonderful. As a Cowboys fan, fucking just jizz everywhere. Total jizz fans. Like, ah! It was awesome. Let's talk about the sleepers. Guys that, or some people thought they were sleepers, some people didn't. Matt Stafford, I stopped watching that game after the half because I thought it was garbage, and then he comes out and throws 4 touchdowns in the second half, or maybe 3 or, anyway, 4 TDs. He winds up with over 300 yards, because, he threw that pick 6 in the first half. Other than that, he still racked up 32 points as a quarterback, probably, I think, second highest behind Alex Smith for the weekend. Because I don't believe Alex Smith threw a pick 6 the way but again, this is one of those things. Matt Stafford's hot and cold. He has these big games, then he has shit games. That's the problem. Him, Cam Newton, these guys, is the inconsistency. You know, it's like it's the reverse of Alex Smith, who's incredibly consistent, but incredibly consistently not that great. Okay. Golden Tate. Now, this is what people were expecting from him last year, let's be honest. 10 receptions. Let's see, what do you got? 10 receptions, 107 yards. He turned up 18 points. But then I know now Golladay was one of these guys that I had my eye on, that I really liked in preseason. But then there were, I believed all the writings of all the other fantasy football writers who were saying that no, that's just preseason because there's still Golden Tate and Marvin Jones. Even Marvin Jones had a good game. So you wonder, is this going to remain a trend? I like Golladay. I think he's very talented. And if anything, I actually see him going up and maybe Golden Tate coming down, them coming a little bit more uneven by the end of the season. But obviously, Golden Tate is going to see a lot more snaps. Amir Abdullah. If you drafted Amir Abdullah, listen, he's, I did it with Eddie Lacy. Sometimes there's a guy that you see the potential. You're like, it's got to turn around for him. And Amir Abdullah is what I personally knew was going to be garbage. Sure enough, he came out, he was garbage. 15 attempts, 30 yards, 6 lousy points. Theo Riddick came in. He got 6 receptions. At least Theo Riddick could catch the ball. He got 6 receptions, 27 yards. He turned up and a TD, so he gave you 15 points. So Theo Riddick, out of nowhere, he's the better back. Fuck Amir Abdullah. Let's talk about bounce backs, guys that I said were in line for a bounce back season. We got to start with Todd Gurley and those Rams. No, okay, man, wow. Wow, nobody saw that coming with that Rams game. I mean, yes, you kind of saw where it could happen a little bit because the Colts lost Andrew Luck, and he's out again for week 2. I don't know. It's abandoned ship in Indianapolis. If you own any of those pieces, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I have Jack Doyle because I thought he was going to have a great season, but not without Andrew Luck. I don't know. Even if Andrew Luck comes back this season, one good smash and it might be over. This whole team, I mean, they made Los Angeles look like the Patriots. Their defense smashed them. I think the defense racked up like 30 points in fantasy. It was crazy. But my boy Cooper Kupp, who I said was a sleeper, that hey, he delivered, and I own him one league. I'm going to be playing him this week. I think Cooper Kupp's going to be pretty consistent. I like Cooper Kupp. But Gurley, I said, was going to have a bounce back, and sure enough, 19 rushes, 40 yards, 5 receptions for 56 yards. So he turned up 21 points for you. So that's great. That's what you want out of Todd Gurley. This is what I was expecting the Sean McVay teenager to do. Now, Kelvin Benjamin. Ugh. What the fuck is happening in Carolina? I guess because they have Christian McCaffrey now, and so they got Christian McCaffrey now, and Jonathan Stewart's still running great. They just decided not to throw the fucking ball. I don't know what was happening, but man, I did not. I was very disappointed in Kelvin Benjamin, but I have not lost hope. I have not lost hope in Kelvin Benjamin. I think that there was just, they just couldn't find their feet in that particular game in terms of the passing game. And, Cam Newton didn't get hurt. So long as he's not hurt and there's still opportunity, I think, I'm still playing Kelvin Benjamin going into week 2. I think that was a week 1. Zeke, oh man, if you picked up Zeke on the cheap, man, did you feel great. He did it all. Rushing, 104 yards rushing, 36 yards receiving, 24 attempts. Now, if you drafted Dez Bryant the way I did, again, very disappointing, out of those first 2 rounds. 2 receptions, yikes, 43 yards, 6 points. Very fucking disappointing. But McCaffrey now, we'll have to see how it plays out over this season. I love McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's going to ball out. But ultimately, he kind of just did okay. 5 receptions, 38 yards, 13 attempts, 47 yards, and he gave you 12 points, which was kind of about where he was projected. I think he was projected a little bit higher at about 14, 15 points. So, McCaffrey, I think he's going to get better and better and better. I think he was just beginning to, and that was the first real NFL first-string defense he's ever faced. But Jonathan Stewart is still right there. He looked great. He looked strong. So I don't know if McCaffrey's necessarily going to just continue to go up and up and up because Jonathan Stewart's still there. But I do expect Kelvin Benjamin to come online this weekend. Jordan Howard. Oh, fuck. Fucking Jordan Howard. Can I tell you something? He was my keeper in my league of record. I got him for a 4th rounder, which is a good value for Jordan Howard, for a guy that came in 2nd in yards last year. But I just was like, in my heart, I was like, no, they're going to, Tariq Cohen, that's just a preseason fling. That's just a little, we're out of town, we're on the road, little slap and tickle. That's all I thought that was. Oh, no. Tariq Cohen's real. And unfortunately, Jordan Howard is still real. He is still real. And the chances he got, although he did drop that 1 touchdown pass that should have absolutely been his, but he still did well. Jordan Howard, still had 51 yards on 13 attempts. He had a couple of receptions. So he still came out of there with 15 points. Jonathan Stewart, 18 attempts, 65 yards, 2 receptions, 17 yards, and a TD. He came out of there with 16 points. So, you got a real even split there. At least they're both doing well in Carolina. But with Jordan Stewart, it was, while Jordan Howard did great in Chicago, Tariq Cohen had 5 rushes for 66 yards, which is, 6 or 7 less than Jordan Howard did. But he had 8 receptions for 47 yards, which in a PPR league equaled 25 points. So right now, Tariq Cohen, I know if you don't have first pick in the waiver wire, you ain't getting Tariq Cohen because he's going first. And the worst part is I had picked him up to handcuff him with Jordan Howard because I was afraid of that. And then for some stupid, I got some kind of fungus on the brain. I got excited at the idea that Jamal Charles might somehow sneak back into I don't know what it is with me and old running backs. I always want to see him like come charging back, but the reality is you should count on rookie running backs and veteran receivers, because you don't need to have chemistry to have a great rookie running back. You need youth, strength, and not having been hit 1,000 times already. That's what you need to be a good running back, and that's where youth comes in. With a receiver, you need chemistry. You need to know where he's going to be. You got to know what he's doing. And so with rookie receivers, that's a much harder thing to accomplish. So for some reason, I let go of Tyreek. I don't think I'm getting him back. I think... But I'd love it. I'd love to get it. Come on, Tyreek. Come back to me, baby. But I don't think it's going to happen. All right. But either way, I'm fine with Jordan Howard. I mean, he's still going to be, but it's going to be terrible if Jordan Howard, the number 2 overall rushing leader last year, winds up in RB2 because of this kid. But it might happen. Tariq, he's exciting. He's electric. He's got that cut back, scat quality. He's catching balls. He's fast. He's elusive. And Jordan Howard needs to be more of a featured back to really be effective, because he's got to get in a rhythm. He's got to wear the defense down. He's got to hit them harder than hitting him. And without the reps to do that, I don't know how great Jordan Howard's season's going to be with Tariq Cohen going in there and taking up those reps that he needs to establish himself. Rob Gronkowski, as I said. Now, Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is one of those guys I listed as he's going to finally live up to the hype, and boy, did he. Now, a big part of that is the fact that, Nelson Aguilar also had, finally, some big receptions. He was a rookie receiver last year. Maybe it was even 2 seasons ago. That was like, it's going to be Nelson Aguilar. But again, no chemistry. He stunk. But now you have 2 premier wide receivers in Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith. Well, Torrey Smith's not premier, but he's certainly more experienced than Nelson Aguilar. But they don't have the chemistry yet. The guys he had chemistry with, Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar, those are the guys that got a lot of the reception. Although, thankfully, Alshon Jeffrey proved that he can develop this chemistry. He got that 2-point conversion. I expect Alshon Jeffrey's value to go up and Nelson Aguilar's value to go down. But Zach Ertz, I expect him to finally live up to hype and to have just a great, great season. Greg Olson, what another disappointing day. 2 receptions, 18 yards, 4 points. Bleh. You know what's so funny? I make a lot of notes while I'm watching the games. And I have DeAndre Hopkins in one of my leagues, and I'm watching the first half of that Houston-Jacksonville game, and I'm like, put in Deshaun Watson now. And it's like they heard me, because they came back in the second half and they put in Deshaun Watson. Was he extraordinary? No. Did he throw a touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins? Yes. Did the whole team play better with him on the field? Yes. It was one of those things where you could tell the team, they were just playing with Savage, but they were playing for Deshaun Watson. I hope they keep him there. I know they're kind of like dragging their feet right now and saying it, but it's Deshaun Watson. He's going to run this team and he's going to get better each and every game. If you really are hurting for a quarterback, maybe stash him, because I can see him being pretty explosive towards the end of the season. Once he really gets his feet wet and starts using those tools correctly, maybe once they get Deontay Foreman out on the field, they might really start to put that team together somewhere around week 7. All right. Leonard Fournette, 100 yards, 1 TD, 23 points. This is what you want from a premier back. This is exactly what you want from a premier back. Are you going to see it from him all season long? No. Why? For 100, I don't remember how many carries. I think it was 24 carries. 24 carries for a guy that has a history of foot injuries. There's no way he does that every game. It's simply not. He will get injured very soon. And so if you're in a place where you're not going to get anybody go on the waiver wire, there's somebody you're willing to dump, I'd stash Chris Ivory right now. I feel like Chris Ivory is going to come back into relevance the second Leonard Fournette goes down. Maybe, maybe not. Randall, okay, you know it's a screwy week when Randall Cobb does better than Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson. Although Jordy Nelson, thankfully, 7 receptions, 79 receiving yards and a TD. Thank God he got that TD. That's what put him up there, 21 points. God bless him. I own him in a league. Thank God. Of course, I think I still lost. No. That was the game that I won. That was the one that I won. But Randall Cobb proved to be better than Devontae Adams in this game. Randall Cobb had 9 receptions for 85 yards, 18 points. Devontae Adams, 3 receptions. For only, I think it looks like 12. He may have had, Looks like 4 or 5 points. Anyways, the point is, in this round, in this beginning round, Randall Cobb. Now, is that going to stay the case? Fuck no. Don't you worry about Randall Cobb. He's going to be an up and down occasional guy. I still think Devonta Adams is the better play on the Green Bay Packers. All right, so there was a lot of weirdness, a lot of things. Oh my God, let's talk about Adrian Peterson in the New Orleans Saints. I was one of those guys that was very excited. I thought he might go in there and really ball out, revenge game, and they just didn't give him the touches to do it. And that's he's okay because of the dominating power running style that he has. He's one of those guys that he isn't any good to you if you just hand him the ball every time he comes into the game and they just know to stack the box because he's in. He's the kind of guy that you have him there so that they stack the box, but you have him in there play after play so that they still have to come up for him and it opens up your pass game. They never used him in a decoy way that allowed them to open up the pass game. They just took him out and allowed the 2 other running backs, Kamara of all things, which if you're an Ingram owner, you were also pissed about that. But Kamara got more snaps, more catches than anybody else. More than Ingram, more than Peterson. So talk about week 1 weirdness. And it wound up being a game that the Saints ended up just looking awful. Just terrible but Minnesota's incredibly good defense. And I think they were struggling to find their chemistry with Adrian Peterson. And here's my feeling about Adrian Peterson. I own him in all 3 of my leagues. But here's what I've seen, and here's the truth. For Adrian Peterson to work out with the New Orleans Saints, they have to fundamentally change how they play the game. They have to go to a single running back system where he's the main guy, at least for first and second down. Then third down, you work in Ingram. But you could tell that they were trying to send a message to Ingram, hey, you're still our guy. But then they went and put in Kamara, saying, hey, but we're probably going to use Kamara more than you. It was so weird the way, both Ingram and Adrian Peterson, they thought it was between them, and then the coach was like, no, we're going to use Kamara more. I mean, both of them had to walk out of there with their heads just spinning, and then Adrian yelling at Sean Payton, or not yelling at him, but you saw it was like, hey, motherfucker, you put me in, I want to run that fucking rock. I mean, that's the thing with the negative energy that Adrian Peterson is obviously going to feel because he's not the kind of guy that's built for a committee of running backs. He's meant to be a star. So, I think, and it's week 1, maybe they figure it out. Maybe they figured out how to use them together. But I think that week 1, what I saw was that Adrian Peterson is now, he needs to be traded. They need to trade him for another piece that they need. If they needed, another lineman, trade Adrian Peterson to somebody who's going to use him as a feature back and get some other piece of duty because he's never going to fit into this committee. He's just too big for it. And emotionally, I don't think he can handle it. It forces him to try too hard on the few carries that he's going to get. I think the whole thing bodes incredibly bad for Adrian Peterson on the New Orleans Saints. I think at the end of the day, either they switch to Adrian Peterson's the guy, or please trade him by midseason to a team that can use him. I'm not big on Nelson Agholor. I think he's a guy of diminishing returns. I think as the chemistry goes up with Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith, Nelson Aguilar's targets are going to come down. I think there's just a matter of comfortability week 1. Galladay. Hooper, I think Hooper's going to be great. I think he's going to have a great season, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. Julio Jones didn't have should I trade Kelce for Devonta Adams? No. I would not do that at this time. I know Kelce did not have an exciting game, but he was shut down by the New England Patriots. Expect a big bounce back from Travis Kelce right now, coming up this week. And Devonta Adams, yes, I expect him to still be good, but Jordy Nelson's still very healthy, and Randall Cobb has somehow figured himself back into the mix. So I would stick with Travis Kelce. I would not go trading him right now. That person's obviously preying on you, and the fact that you probably have another decent tight end, and he's trying to take advantage of a situation where the New England defense, they're known for shutting down your best player. They clearly focused on Kelce and Tyreek Hill, and that's what created the Kareem Hunt situation. So I would not take that trade. Jordan Matthews in Buffalo, I find very intriguing. If you need a receiver, I really believe Jordan Matthews might be the emerging thing. And if you need a tight end, I like Charles Clay because he already has the chemistry. He's done it. He's had it for the last 2 seasons with Tyrod Taylor. I like Charles Clay as a tight end, specifically since no one else has good tight ends right now. There's only a few of them out there that are really scoring. I picked up Martellus Bennett. I think they're just figuring out how to use him in Green Bay. Jared Cook, I like a lot. If you're looking for what they never used their tight end before. He got like 4 receptions, 50-something yards. I like what's happening with Jared Cook in Oakland at the Oakland Raiders. But Hooper I do like, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. Julio Jones isn't going to be quiet like that every single week. And maybe the Chicago Bears defense is better than expected, much like Green Bay. But I do like Jordan Matthews. Everyone was like, Zay Jones, they got to throw it to someone. Again, rookie receivers, I don't trust them. No chemistry. You got Jordan Matthews is a veteran. I like Jordan Matthews a lot more in that Buffalo offense. I think I would go for Jordan Matthews. Do not go out and run and grab Alex Smith. I'm telling you, this 4-touchdown game is an anomaly. He's going to go right back to being the Alex Smith that he is. Although, again, he will do better because of Tyreek Hill, because, again, he only has to throw it to him 6 yards down the field for him to then take it 80 yards up the field. And so while that counts as an 86-yard reception, it is all done with the feet of Tyreek Hill, not the arm of Alex Smith. So I don't know. I'm not, unless you really hate whoever you have, a quarterback, whoever you drafted, or you need a solid QB2. I believe in having a solid QB2. So if you need one, yes, grab Alex Smith for your backup. But if you're looking to start him next week, I'm not that excited about the matchup. Michael Thomas stunk. Larry Fitzgerald stunk. Michael Thomas gave you 4.5 points. Although I do like Kobe Fleener. I think he's growing into the tight end that's really going to be effective there in New Orleans. I like Kobe Fleener a lot. I would just like to say, fuck all the Bengals RBs. Fuck all Jeremy Hill, Giovanni Bernard. Over Charles, do you start Kelce over Charles Clay? You know what? I'm going to have to look at that matchup. Right now, I would say yes, but I'm really looking at the matchups over the next couple of days, and on Thursday, Friday, I'll be doing my matchups. And so right now, I would say start Charles Clay, or rather, I would say Kelce over Clay, but, maybe if you have the room, maybe play them both. If you got that flex, maybe play them both, because I love what's happening. In terms of the Tyrod Taylor having to throw to somebody, looks like he's throwing it to Charles Clay. So, but Kelce's going to have a nice bounce-back game this week. Don't you worry. Kelce's going to be super in the mix. Play Kelce over Clay this week. Tyreek Cohen, Kerwin Williams, Kobe Fleener, Jerry Cook. These are all guys you're going to want to target on the waiver wire this week. Other than that, obviously, like I said, that Cleveland defense might be worth looking at on certain streamer weeks. Tennessee's got a good defense, even though I think it also demonstrates. Oh, by the way, what was going on with Oakland? Well, by the way, Amari Cooper owners, welcome to the frustration of Amari Cooper. I've owned him for the last 2 seasons. I refuse to take him this year because that's what you get with Amari Cooper. 3 direct attempts. Wait, my bad. It was like, can you repeat that? Yeah. Okay, just repeat for the guy that's actually watching live. Start Kelce. Yes, start Kelce over Clay. Huge bounce back this week. Okay. I forgot what I was talking about. Dude, you interrupted me and I can't. Oh, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper. Oh, my God. 3 attempts. First of all, what the fuck are you doing calling 3 pass plays to Amari Cooper inside of the 5? Okay? Because Amari Cooper, everybody, you got Marshawn Lynch. If we learned anything from that Super Bowl, you run Marshawn Lynch, then you run Marshawn Lynch again, and then you maybe pass to the tight end. That's what you do. Or you run Marshawn Lynch again. But you do not pass it to Amari Cooper 3 times. That's called getting cute. And you cuted yourself right out of a fucking touchdown. But that's the and let me tell you something. All that's going to do is make him look more at Crabtree next week. That's the annoying thing about Amari Cooper. They clearly came out with an agenda to get Amari Cooper the ball, to get him going, and he dropped it 3 times in the fucking end zone. Okay. Well, if you made it this far, a couple of things before I go. Number one, please go on Twitter. Follow me at @TheGregWilson. You'll see the top pinned tweet right there. That's the one for that says I'm trying to do a Netflix special, my stand-up comedy special. And so all you have to do is retweet that or tweet at Netflix, #Give Greg a Damn Special at @TheGregWilson. That would be awesome. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day in fantasy. I hope you get all of your waiver wire presents tonight. I love waking up on Wednesdays and seeing who I got, who came through on the waiver wire. So, good luck to that. I hope you get somebody that you can use, and I will see you guys later this week for the Week 1 preview.